The market was loud and crowded, filled with many kinds of aliens from all over the galaxy. Stalls were full of bright colors and strange smells. People shouted to sell their goods, and the sound of footsteps echoed on the stone ground in the middle of all this noise. A small group stood quietly around a broken alien mother and her child. The mother was tired and hurt, her skin pale and covered with dirt. She wore old torn clothes that barely covered her thin body. Her eyes looked tired but strong, full of pain and hope at the same time. The child was weak and small, wrapped in a thin cloth that did not keep him warm. He shivered and tried to hold on to his mother's hand, but his small fingers were cold and trembling. The mother tried to protect her child from the cold wind and the busy crowd. She looked at the people around her, hoping someone would help, but no one moved. No one offered food or shelter. Instead, some aliens whispered and laughed, pointing at her as if she was a weak animal. They said she was broken, useless, and not worth saving. The mother's heart hurt more than her wounds. She held her child close and whispered soft words in her strange alien language. Her voice was low, but full of love and fear. The child looked up at her with tired eyes and tried to smile, but his lips were dry and cracked. The mother wished she could give him more than just warmth and hope. Suddenly, a tall alien man with sharp eyes came close to the group. He looked down at the mother and child with cold eyes. He sneered and said, "Why keep this broken thing? No one will pay for her. No one wants her." He raised his hand and pointed to the child. "And that weakling will only slow you down." The other aliens around nodded. Some laughed loudly, and others turned away, not wanting to be seen with the broken pair. The market keeper, a large creature with many arms, stepped forward. He looked at the mother and child with disgust. He said loudly, "They cannot stay here any longer. They must leave." The mother stood up slowly, her body weak, but her spirit strong. She whispered, "Please, just one chance, one offer to save us." No one answered, only silence and cold stares. The mother's hands trembled as she held her child tighter. She looked around, searching for even a small sign of kindness. But the crowd started to move away. The storm clouds grew darker in the sky. Cold rain began to fall. Mixing with the dust and dirt on the ground, the mother looked up and saw the sky turn gray. The wind blew stronger, and the market noise became distant. She knew she had little time before the storm became dangerous. She wrapped her child in her arms and whispered, "We must find a safe place soon." Suddenly, a quiet voice broke the silence. A human man stepped through the crowd, calm and strong. He wore simple clothes but carried himself with confidence. He looked at the mother and child with eyes full of understanding. The crowd around him stopped and watched carefully. Surprised by his calmness, the man moved closer and said softly, "You don't have to be alone." The mother looked at him, her eyes wide with surprise and fear. She did not know if she could trust this stranger. The man smiled gently and said, "I will help you. I will give you my last name so no one can harm you." The mother's heart raced. Hope and doubt mixed inside her. The storm grew louder. The rain fell harder, but she did not move. The man reached out his hand, offering it to her. She looked at her child, then at the man's hand. Slowly, she took it, her fingers weak but determined. The crowd around them grew quiet, watching this strange moment. Some aliens whispered that the human was crazy. Others said he was brave, but no one stepped forward to help. The market keeper shook his many arms and said, "This is madness. No one helps broken ones." The man looked at the keeper and said firmly, "Sometimes the broken are the strongest." He lifted the mother and child gently and turned toward the exit. The rain soaked them, but the man's strength kept them safe. The mother whispered, "Thank you," her voice soft but full of new hope. As they left the market, the storm began to rage. Thunder rolled across the sky, and lightning lit the dark clouds. The city streets were empty and dangerous. But the man kept walking. He held the child close and wrapped the mother with his coat. The mother looked at the human and saw kindness she had not known for a long time. She whispered, "Maybe we are not alone anymore." The man smiled and said, "You never were." The story of the broken alien mother and her child had just begun. The market behind them was filled with whispers and judgment. But ahead was a new chance, a fight for survival, and a family united by hope. The storm pushed them forward, and the human's last name was the first light in their dark world. The night was cold and dark, as the human, the broken alien mother, and her weak child moved quickly through the empty streets. The rain had stopped, but the air was still heavy and damp. The mother held her child tightly, afraid that danger was close behind them. The human walked steadily, his eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of trouble. They reached a quiet corner where old buildings leaned close to each other. The mother looked around nervously, unsure if this place was safe. The human stopped and whispered, "We need to rest, but we must stay alert." She nodded slowly. Feeling both hope and fear mixing inside her, the child shivered and looked up at his mother with tired eyes. The mother kissed his forehead and said softly, "We will be safe here, my little one." She wrapped him in her thin cloak and sat against the cold stone wall. The human sat nearby, watching the dark streets with careful eyes. As the night deepened, the mother told the human her story in low, broken words. She spoke of her home, a beautiful planet far away, filled with tall trees and blue skies. But war came to her world, and everything changed. She lost her family, her friends, and her home. She ran with her child, searching for a place where they could live in peace. The human listened quietly, feeling the pain in her voice. He asked gently, "Why did no one help you before?" The mother's eyes filled with tears, and she said, "They saw me as broken, useless, a burden." Her voice cracked as she explained how many had turned away, afraid or cruel. The human's face grew serious, and he said, "I don't see you as broken. I see a mother who fights for her child." The mother looked at him, her heart warming a little. She whispered, "Thank you for giving us hope." Suddenly, a noise came from the dark street behind them. The human stood quickly, his hand moving to the small weapon at his side. The mother held her child close, trying to stay silent. Shadows moved closer, and voices whispered harsh words in an alien tongue. The human stepped forward and said loudly, "Go away, or face me." The shadows stopped, and two large figures stepped into the weak moonlight. They were enemy agents, sent to capture the broken alien mother and bring her back to those who wanted to hurt her. One agent sneered and said, "You cannot hide, human. Give us the alien." The human shook his head, his voice strong. "She is under my protection now." The agents laughed and pulled out weapons. The mother's heart pounded as she prepared to run, but the human stood firm. The child cried softly. Hiding his face in his mother's chest, the human's eyes narrowed as he said, "You will have to get through me first." The agents moved forward, but before they could attack, the mother stepped between them. Her body was weak, but her voice was strong. "Leave us alone," she said, her alien words sharp and clear. The agents looked surprised and laughed again. What can a broken mother do? The mother's eyes glowed faintly with a strange light. The human noticed it too and stepped back, shocked suddenly. The mother moved with speed and power that no one expected. She grabbed one agent's arm and twisted it, forcing him to drop his weapon. The other agent fired a shot, but the human jumped in front, taking the hit in his shoulder. Pain burned through him, but he did not fall. The child screamed, and the mother held him tightly, her eyes full of fierce love and fear. The fight was quick but fierce. The agents realized they could not win and ran back into the darkness. The human dropped to his knees. Blood soaking his shirt, the mother rushed to him, tears streaming down her face. "Are you okay?" she asked in a soft voice. He smiled weakly and said, "I will be fine. You're safe now." The child reached out and touched the human's hand. A small moment of peace filled the cold night, but danger was not over. The enemies would return with more soldiers. The mother looked at the human and said, "We must find a safer place." He nodded and said, "There is a friend who can help us, but it is far." The mother agreed, knowing they had no choice. The human helped her to her feet, and together they moved into the dark city. The child walked between them, feeling safer than before, but still scared as they moved. The mother thought about the human's offer to give her his last name. It was more than just a name. It was a promise of protection and family. She had never known what it meant to belong. Now, maybe, she would find a new home and a new family with this human. The human looked at her and said, "You are not alone anymore. We will fight together." The mother smiled for the first time in a long time. Hope grew in her heart like a small flame in the dark. The night held many dangers, but also new beginnings. The broken alien mother, her child, and the human with a strong heart moved forward. Together, they would face the challenges ahead, and maybe, just maybe, they would find a place to call home. The sun was just rising when the human, the broken alien mother, and her child arrived at the edge of the city. The streets behind them were still dark and quiet, but the sky ahead was slowly lighting with soft orange and pink colors. They stopped. Near an old bridge that crossed a slow, muddy river, the mother looked at the water and sighed. She knew their journey was far from over. The human scanned the area carefully. He said softly, "We need to cross the river, then follow the forest path to my friend's place." The mother nodded, her eyes tired but full of determination. The child clung to her hand, still weak, but trying to keep up. They moved quietly across the bridge, careful not to make noise. The wooden boards creaked under their feet, but no one came to stop them on the other side. Tall trees stood close together, their leaves thick and green. The forest seemed alive with sounds of birds and small animals waking from sleep. The human led them down a narrow path that twisted between the trees. The mother kept her eyes open. "For danger," she whispered. "How far is your friend's place?" He answered, "A few hours' walk." "We must be quick." As they walked, the mother told the human more about her past. She spoke about her child's father, a brave alien warrior who died protecting their home. She spoke about the war that destroyed their world. Her voice was soft, but filled with pain. The human listened and held her hand gently. He said, "You are strong for coming this far." Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came from behind. The human stopped and looked back. Two dark figures moved quickly through the trees. The mother's heart raced with fear. She knew the enemy agents had found them again. The human whispered, "Stay close to me." He pulled out a small device and pressed a button. A bright light flashed from the device, making the figures stop and cover their eyes. The human moved forward, his voice firm. "Leave now, or face the consequences." The figures hesitated, then ran deeper into the forest. The mother sighed with relief. But she knew this was not the end. The enemy would not give up easily. They continued walking, but the mother noticed the child growing weaker. His steps slowed and his face turned pale. She stopped and said, "We must rest soon, or he will not make it." The human nodded and looked for a safe place nearby. They found a small clearing surrounded by thick bushes. The human helped the mother lay the child down on soft grass. She held him close and rubbed his back gently. The human unpacked a small bag and gave the mother some food and water. They ate quietly, the tension still heavy in the air. The mother looked at the human and said, "Why do you help us?" "You don't have to risk yourself." He smiled sadly and said, "Because I know what it is to be alone, to be afraid." She looked at him with new respect. For the first time, she saw not just a stranger, but a true friend. Suddenly, the child's eyes opened, and he looked around with tired curiosity. He reached out to the human and whispered, "Thank you." The human's heart melted, and he gently held the child's hand. The mother smiled, tears in her eyes, but their peace was short. The sound of breaking branches came from the forest edge. The human stood quickly and said, "They found us again." The mother lifted her child, ready to run. The human grabbed a long stick from the ground and prepared to defend them. The enemy agents stepped into the clearing, their faces hard and cold. One of them sneered, "Give us the alien mother, and we will let you live." The human shook his head. "I will never give her to you." The agents laughed and moved forward, weapons ready. The mother's eyes glowed again. Stronger this time, she moved between the agents and her child, her voice loud and clear. "Leave us alone." She shouted. The agents stopped, surprised by her power. The human swung the stick, striking one agent. The fight began, quick and fierce. The mother used her hidden strength to push one agent back. The human fought bravely, protecting the child and the mother. The child cried, but was safe in his mother's arms. The battle ended when the agents fled. Knowing they could not win, the human looked at the mother and said, "We cannot stay here." She nodded, tired but determined. They gathered their things and left the clearing quickly. The sun rose higher, warming the earth, but danger still followed them as they walked. The mother thought about the human's last name offer. It was a symbol of hope, protection, and family. She whispered to herself, "Maybe I can have a new life, a new name, and a new home." The human looked back and smiled softly. "We will find safety," he promised, "together." They moved deeper into the forest. The broken alien mother, her child, and the human fought to survive and find a place where they could belong. The forest grew thicker as the human, the broken alien mother, and her child walked deeper into its shadows. Tall trees reached up to the sky, blocking much of the sunlight. The air was cool and smelled of earth and leaves. Birds chirped softly in the distance, but the quiet did not ease the tension in their hearts. The mother held her child close, feeling his small body grow lighter with each step. The child was still weak, but he looked a little stronger than before. The human walked beside them, alert and watching the path carefully. He carried a small pack with food, water, and a few tools. His eyes scanned the trees and bushes, ready for any danger. They came to a small clearing where a simple cabin stood, half hidden by vines and moss. The human stopped and looked back at the mother and child. "This is where my friend lives," he said softly. The mother felt a flicker of hope, but she was still scared. She asked, "Will they help us?" The human nodded. "Yes, but we must be careful. Not everyone trusts aliens, especially broken ones." The mother took a deep breath and moved forward. They knocked on the wooden door, which opened slowly. An older human woman appeared, her face kind but serious. She looked at the mother and child and said, "Come in quickly, before anyone sees you, inside." The cabin was warm and smelled of herbs and wood smoke. The woman helped them sit by the fire and gave the child a warm blanket. The mother felt tears rise in her eyes, grateful for the kindness. The woman introduced herself as Mara, a healer who helped those in need. She said, "You are safe here, but you must rest and heal quickly. Enemies will come looking for you." The mother nodded. "Thank you. We have nowhere else to go." Mara brought food and medicine. Helping the mother clean her wounds, she asked gently about the child's sickness. The mother explained how the child was weak and cold for many days. Mara frowned and said, "We must act fast to help him get stronger." Days passed in the Quiet cabin. The mother and child rested while the human helped Mara gather herbs and prepare medicine. Slowly, the child's color returned, and he began to smile more often. The mother felt hope grow inside her, a feeling she had not known for a long time. But outside the cabin, the world was not safe. Strange sounds echoed through the trees at night. The human stayed awake many hours. Watching the dark forest, he taught the mother simple ways to protect herself and her child. She learned quickly, her strength returning with each lesson. One morning, Mara brought news that made the mother's heart race. She said, "I heard from a friend in the city. The enemy agents are sending more soldiers to find you." The mother's eyes filled with fear but also determination. "We cannot stay here much longer," she said. The human nodded. "We will find a safer place." The mother looked at her child, now playing with a small wooden toy. He laughed softly, and for a moment, the world felt peaceful. But she knew the danger was real and close. She whispered a promise to protect him, no matter what. That night, a storm came to the forest. Thunder rolled and lightning lit the sky. Rain poured down hard, soaking the cabin and the trees. The mother and child huddled close by the fire. The human secured the doors and windows. The storm's power reminded them of the world's danger outside their small shelter. Suddenly, a loud noise came from outside. The human grabbed a weapon and moved quietly to the door. The mother held her child tight, her heart pounding. The door shook as something tried to break it open. The human shouted, "Stay back!" The attackers were the enemy soldiers trying to capture the broken alien mother. Mara joined the human, ready to defend the cabin. The mother stood tall, her hidden power growing stronger. She whispered a strange word in her alien language. A bright light filled the room, and the soldiers stopped in fear. The leader of the soldiers cursed and ordered them to retreat. They disappeared into the stormy night. The mother, human, and Mara breathed heavily. Relieved but shaken, the child slept peacefully, unaware of the danger. The next day, Mara said, "This place is no longer safe. You must move." The human agreed and said, "I know someone who can help us. It's far, but it may be our last chance." The mother packed what little they had. Ready for another journey, she looked at her child and whispered, "Hold on, we are almost free." As they left the cabin behind, the mother felt a mix of hope and fear. The forest swallowed their footsteps as they walked into the unknown. The promise of safety and family drove them forward. The broken alien mother and her child, joined by a human who gave them his last name. Together, they faced a dangerous world with courage and love. The journey was long and tiring as the human, the broken alien mother, and her child moved through forests and hills. The sun climbed high in the sky, burning away the morning mist. The mother held her child's hand tightly, feeling his small fingers grow stronger with each step. The child's eyes sparkled with curiosity as he looked at the world around him. The human walked ahead, alert to every sound and shadow. He carried a small pack with food and water for the long walk. Sometimes he stopped and checked the sky, guessing how much farther they had to go. The mother felt hope growing inside her, but fear still whispered in the back of her mind. As the sun began to set, they reached a river wide and fast. The water rushed over smooth stones, making a roaring sound. The mother looked at the river, unsure how to cross it. The human smiled and said, "There is a safe place, a little downstream. We can cross there." They walked along the riverbank until they found a shallow spot. The water was cold, but they had no choice. The human helped the mother and child into the river. The current pulled at their legs, but they held tight to each other. Slowly, they crossed the river, careful not to slip on the wet stones on the other side. They found a small village hidden among trees. It was quiet and simple. With wooden houses and gardens, the mother looked around, wondering if they would be safe here. The human said, This is my friend's village. They are kind, but don't tell everyone about us yet." They walked to a small house where an older man waited. He smiled when he saw the human and said, "I have heard about you." "Welcome." The mother felt a little safer, but she still watched the village carefully. The child laughed as he played with a small dog. The first time he seemed happy in days. That night, the village held a small gathering. People came to see the broken alien mother and her child. Some were kind and brought food. Others whispered behind their hands, unsure if they should trust an alien. The mother listened quietly, feeling both hope and fear. The human stood by her side and said, "We must earn their trust." The mother nodded and said, "I will do whatever it takes to protect my child and find a home." Days passed, and the mother began to learn the village ways. She helped in the garden and cooked simple meals. The child grew stronger. Running and playing with other children, the villagers slowly accepted them. But some still watched with suspicion. One morning, the human spoke with the village leader. He said, "The enemy agents are still searching. They will come here soon." The leader frowned and said, "We will help protect you, but you must be ready to leave at any time." The mother felt the weight of danger again, but she smiled at her child playing in the sun. She whispered, "We will keep moving forward, no matter what." That night, the mother and human sat outside, watching the stars. The mother said, "Why do you risk everything for us?" The human looked at her and said, "Because family is more than blood. It is love and trust." She smiled softly and said, "Thank you for giving us hope." Suddenly, the quiet was broken by a loud noise from the village edge. The human stood quickly and said, "They're here." The mother grabbed her child. Her heart pounding, the villagers came out to see what was happening. Some with weapons in hand. The enemy agents stepped into the village, their faces hard and cruel. They shouted, "Give us the alien mother, and no one will be hurt." The human stepped forward and said firmly, "You will not take her." A fight broke out, quick and fierce. The mother used her strength to protect her child. The human fought bravely beside her. Villagers joined in, surprising the enemy with their courage. The battle ended with the agents retreating. Beaten but not gone. After the fight, the mother looked at the human and said, "We cannot stay here." He nodded. "We will find a safer place, a home for you and your child." The child smiled, tired but happy. Holding his mother's hand, the mother whispered, "We will survive together." As dawn broke, the small family packed their few belongings. They said goodbye to the village that had shown them kindness and courage. The human led the way, his heart full of hope and determination. The broken alien mother and her child followed, ready to face whatever came next. The morning air was crisp as the human, the broken alien mother, and her child walked quietly through the dense forest. The leaves crunched softly beneath their feet, and the sun filtered through the tall trees, casting gentle shadows. The mother held her child close, feeling his warmth against the chill in the air. The child looked up at her with tired eyes, but managed a small smile. The human moved ahead, his senses sharp, watching for any sign of danger. They reached a narrow path that led to a small clearing. In the center stood a simple house made of stone and wood, surrounded by a wooden fence. The human paused and looked back at the mother and child. "This is where we must rest and prepare," he said quietly. The mother nodded, her heart heavy, but hopeful. She knew their journey had brought them to a place of safety. But the threat was not gone. As they approached the house, the door opened, and a group of humans stepped out. They were friends of the human who had helped them from the beginning. Their faces were kind but serious. One of them, a tall man with gray hair, spoke. "We heard about your fight in the village. You are not alone anymore." The mother felt a wave of relief for the first time. She believed they might have a real chance. Inside the house, the group gathered around a wooden table. Plans were made quietly, the human explained. The enemy agents are still searching for you. They will come with more soldiers soon, the leader said. We will help you fight if they attack, but you must be ready. The mother looked at her child. Now, resting peacefully on a soft blanket, she whispered, "We will be ready." Days passed with quiet preparation. The human taught the mother how to use simple weapons. She learned quickly, her hands steady and strong. The child grew stronger each day. Playing with the other children in the safe house, the mother watched him. With love and hope, she felt her broken heart begin to heal. One evening, as the sun set behind the trees, a sudden noise broke the calm. The human rushed to the window and saw movement outside. He said, "They are coming." The mother grabbed her child and stood beside the human. Together, they waited for the danger to arrive. The enemy soldiers stepped into the clearing. Weapons ready, they shouted demands. "Give us the alien mother, and no one will be hurt." The human raised his voice. "You will not take her." A fierce battle began. The mother fought with fierce courage. She moved quickly and used her strength to protect her child and friends. The human and his allies fought bravely. The child watched from a safe corner. Holding a small wooden toy his mother had made for him, the fight was long and hard. The enemy soldiers were many, but the defenders were determined. The mother's power surprised everyone. She pushed the soldiers back with a strange light that shone from her hands. The human called out orders, keeping the group together. Finally, the enemy retreated, beaten and frustrated. The defenders cheered quietly. But the mother knew this was not the end. The danger would return, stronger and more cruel. She looked at her child and whispered, "We must be ready for anything." The next morning, the human spoke to the group. He said, "We cannot stay here long. The enemy will come again." The mother nodded. She packed their few belongings and held her child close. The human led the way out of the clearing. As they moved through the forest, the mother thought about the human's last name he had given her. It was more than just a name. It was a promise of family and protection. She felt proud to carry it. She whispered softly, "I am not broken anymore. I am part of a family." The child looked up at her and smiled. They walked on, together and strong. The broken alien mother, her child, and the human faced the future with hope. They knew the road ahead was dangerous, but they would not give up. The forest opened into a wide valley as the human, the broken alien mother, and her child stepped into the sunlight. The air smelled fresh, filled with flowers and green grass. The mother looked around with hope, feeling the warmth on her skin. The child ran ahead, laughing, his small feet pounding softly on the earth. For the first time in a long time, the world felt safe. The human smiled and said, "This is where we can stay, a place far from danger." The mother nodded, tears in her eyes. She held her child close and whispered, "We have made it." They walked to a small village at the valley's edge. The people there were different, kind and curious. The villagers welcomed them with open arms. They offered food, shelter, and friendship. The mother felt a warmth in her heart she had never known. The human went to the village leader and said, "I want to make her a part of my family." The leader looked at the mother and smiled. He said, "A name means belonging. If you take his last name, you are one of us." The mother felt a smile spread across her face. She knew this was more than a name, was a new life, a new beginning. The child played with other children, his laughter filling the air. The mother watched, her heart full of love and pride. She whispered, "You are safe now, my child." One day, the human and the mother stood outside a small house they had built together. The human took her hand and said, "We fought hard to get here. Now we build a future." The mother nodded, her eyes shining. She said, "Thank you for giving us hope, for for giving us a family. But even in this peaceful place, danger was never far. The enemy agents had not forgotten them. One evening, strange shadows moved near the village. The human and a few villagers prepared quietly, ready to protect their new family. The next day, the enemy agents came again. But this time, they were met with strength and unity. The villagers stood with the human and the mother, defending their home. The battle was fierce, but brief. The enemy fled, defeated and afraid. The mother looked around at the people who had come to love and protect her. She felt strong and whole, no longer broken. She smiled and said, "We are a family now, and nothing can tear us apart." The human gave her his last name in front of the village. The mother's voice was clear and proud as she said, "I am his now and he is mine." The child clapped his hands happily. The village cheered, welcoming their new family member. Days turned into weeks, and the mother and child grew stronger every day. They learned new things, laughed with friends, and dreamed of the future. The humans stood by their side, proud and loving. Together, they faced the galaxy's dangers with hope and courage. The broken alien mother had found a new home, not just a place, but a family that loved and accepted her. Her child was safe and happy, and the human who had given her his last name was her strength and her hope. Their story was one of survival, love, and new beginnings. No one had made a single offer for the broken alien mother before. But now she belonged, and her name was spoken with respect and love. The sky above the valley was wide and bright. The future was theirs to build. Together, as a family, they would face whatever came next, and nothing could break their bond.